Welcome back, everyone. We've got a really fascinating topic to dive into today, and it's something I know a lot of you have been curious about. You've sent us tons of articles, books, videos, all about this idea of attracting what you want instead of like chasing after it.
Right, yeah, it seems to be everywhere these days.
Exactly. And there's so much out there, it's tough to really grasp, like what it actually means to shift from that, hustle mentality to a more magnetic way of like living and achieving your goals. So today we're going to try to break it all down.
Absolutely. I think, the core of what all these sources seem to be pointing to is this idea of aligning yourself, like internally, and really working on releasing any resistance you might have. And ultimately, it's about cultivating what they call a magnetic mindset.
Okay, so let's start there. What does it actually mean to have a magnetic mindset? I mean, it's more than just thinking positive thoughts, right?
Right. It's definitely more than just, slapping on a smile and hoping for the best. It's really about cultivating a deep sense of, well, positivity for sure, but also resilience and like unwavering belief in yourself. A lot of us are kind of conditioned to think that hard work and like constantly pushing ourselves is the only way to get anywhere. But this idea suggests there's this whole other like mention to success.
This like power of attraction almost.
Exactly. It's this idea that like you can actually attract things into your life by like aligning your internal state. And the sources all seem to agree that a big part of that is self-worth. Really believing you deserve good things and that you're capable of achieving them.
Right, because if you're constantly battling self-doubt, how can you even recognize opportunities, let alone like seize them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, if you don't believe you're worthy, you're going to be putting up all these like energetic blocks without even realizing it. And then, of course, there's the whole negativity thing, which, let's be honest, can be a huge hurdle for a lot of us.
For sure. So, what do the sources say about dealing with negativity?
Well, they really emphasize the importance of choosing optimism, like consciously shifting your perspective and seeing challenges not as like these huge roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth.
So, it's not about pretending everything is perfect, but more about reframing how we see the like tough stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's about building that resilience so that, when things inevitably go wrong, you don't just like completely spiral.
Okay, that makes sense. And then there's this idea of vision, like having a clear picture of what you want. One of the sources called it your North Star. How does that tie into all of this?
Well, it's about setting a really specific intention. When you have that clear vision, it's like, setting out a beacon, drawing those specific things towards you.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. So we've got the mindset piece, but then, there's this whole other concept that keeps coming up, aligning your vibration. And I'll be honest, that sounds kind of out there to me.
Yeah, I get that. It could be a little esoteric, I guess. But one of the sources used this analogy of like a radio station. How each station transmits on a specific frequency.
Right.
So the idea is that we're all like transmitting on a certain frequency too, and our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, they all contribute to creating that vibration.
So if I'm constantly stressed and worried about not having what I want, I'm basically like broadcasting a signal of lack.
Exactly. And like attracts like, right? So the universe kind of responds to that frequency by sending you more of the same.
Okay, so how do we change the channel, so to speak? How do we align our vibration with what we actually want?
Well, the sources talk about a few key steps. First, it's about being super honest with yourself about what you truly desire. Not what you think you should want, but what really lights you up inside.
That's like huge, right? Because so many of us are chasing after things we think we're supposed to want.
Totally. And once you've got that clarity, the next step is visualization. And I'm not talking about just like daydreaming. I mean, really vividly imagining yourself already having what you want. Feeling the joy, the excitement, the satisfaction as if it's already happening.
So it's about generating those positive emotions in the present moment.
Exactly. And the sources say those emotions are super powerful for raising your vibration. And then the third step is what they call acting as if.
Okay, explain that one. It sounds a little like faking it till you make it.
Not exactly faking it, but more like, embodying the qualities you would have if you already had what you desire. So if your goal is to, say, start your own business, you might start acting with more confidence, making decisions like a business owner, even if you're not quite there yet.
So it's about like stepping into that identity even before it's fully realized.
Right. And the sources are really clear that this isn't about like pretending or being inauthentic. It's about aligning your energy with what you want to create.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, another concept that kept popping up is this idea of releasing attachment to outcomes. And I have to admit, that one feels a little counterintuitive. Like, if I have a clear vision and I'm doing all this work to align my energy, why would I then need to let go of the outcome?
Well, it's about letting go of that tight grip, that need to control exactly how and when things unfold. That kind of desperate energy can actually create resistance.
Oh, interesting. So the more I obsess about something happening in a specific way, the more I might be blocking it.
Yeah, it's like, you're sending out this vibe of, I don't have this yet and I really need it, which just reinforces that sense of lack.
So releasing attachment is more about trusting the process.
Exactly. It's about having faith that the universe has your back and that things are unfolding as they should, even if it doesn't look exactly how you envisioned it.
So choosing peace over anxiety, basically.
Right. And focusing on what you can control, which is like your own thoughts, your actions, your energy.
Okay, I can see how that would be more empowering in the long run. Now, gratitude is another theme that kept coming up. How does gratitude play into all of this?
Well, the sources really emphasize this idea that what you focus on expands. So if you're constantly dwelling on what's missing, you're just going to attract more lack into your life. But when you focus on what you're grateful for, you're sending out a vibration of abundance, which attracts more abundance.
It's like intentionally shifting your perspective to the good stuff.
Exactly. And one of the sources even recommended keeping a gratitude journal, like writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day, just to kind of train your brain to focus on the positive.
That's a great tip. Now, we talked about visualization earlier, but it seems like there's more to it than just creating a mental picture.
Right. The sources really emphasize the importance of feeling the emotions associated with your vision, like really embodying the joy, the satisfaction, the sense of accomplishment as if it's already happening.
So it's not just about seeing it, it's about feeling it too.
Exactly. Those emotions are like, the fuel that powers the law of attraction.
Okay, I'm getting a much clearer picture of how this all works. Now, even with all of this in place, we know things don't always manifest overnight. So how does patience play into this process?
Patience is huge. The sources talk about trusting the unfolding process, accepting that things might take time, and not getting discouraged when things don't happen on our preferred timeline.
So it's about surrendering that need to control every little detail.
Exactly. And embracing the journey, knowing that, sometimes the detours lead to even better destinations than we could have imagined.
And speaking of the journey, it seems like our environment plays a big role too, surrounding ourselves with the right people and things.
Absolutely. The sources talk about creating a supportive and inspiring environment, both physically and emotionally. Surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, filling your space with things that bring you joy and remind you of your goals.
So it's about curating your own little world to support your dreams.
Exactly. Now, even with all of that, it's normal to have doubts and fears creep in.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So how do we deal with those when they inevitably show up?
Well, the sources say that acknowledging those fears is the first step, like not trying to push them away. And then it's about challenging them, asking yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And often, the worst case scenario isn't nearly as scary as we make it out to be in our heads.
And reminding ourselves that we're stronger than we think.
Absolutely. And then there's intuition. The sources talk a lot about trusting your gut.
Ah, yes, that inner voice.
Exactly. Learning to listen to that inner guidance and trusting that it's leading you in the right direction.
Even when it doesn't make logical sense.
Sometimes, especially then. And as we go through this process, it's important to celebrate those little wins along the way, right?
Oh, absolutely. Acknowledging those milestones, no matter how small, keeps you motivated and builds momentum.
Exactly. It reinforces that belief in yourself and shows you that you're making progress.
And all of this, of course, happens within the context of our overall environment, our thoughts, our emotions, the energy we surround ourselves with.
Right. And the sources really emphasize the importance of creating a positive environment, both internally and externally. Nurturing a positive mindset, surrounding yourself with positive people, and creating a physical space that feels good to be in.
And then there's the whole action piece, right? Like aligning our actions with our intentions.
Absolutely. It's not enough to just think positive thoughts. We have to actually walk the talk. Make choices that reflect our deepest desires and take actions that move us towards our goals.
So it's about living in alignment with what we want to create.
Exactly. And the sources talk about using affirmations as a way to support that alignment.
Right. Those positive statements that we repeat to ourselves to like reprogram our thinking.
Exactly. They can be really powerful for shifting those negative self-talk patterns and reinforcing what we want to believe about ourselves.
And ultimately, all of this contributes to building that unshakable self-belief.
which is like the foundation for everything. When you truly believe in yourself and your ability to achieve what you want, it changes everything.
It's like that inner knowing that you're capable of anything you set your mind to.
Exactly. And to help us cultivate that inner knowing, the sources also talk about mindfulness.
Right, being present in the moment.
Exactly. It helps us to let go of the worries and the doubts and just like be here now.
And from that place of presence and self-belief, it all comes down to trusting the universe, right?
Absolutely. Trusting that there's a bigger plan unfolding and that we're exactly where we're supposed to be.
So to sum it all up, it seems like the key difference between attracting what you want and constantly chasing after it is that attraction comes from a place of inner peace and alignment, while chasing often stems from a sense of lack and desperation.
Right. It's about surrendering that need to control every little thing and trusting that the universe is guiding us towards our highest good.
And that guidance often comes in the form of those subtle signs and synchronicities that we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's about being aware of those little nudges from the universe and trusting that they're leading us in the right direction.
So manifestation in this context is really about aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life and trusting that what's meant for us will find its way to us.
Absolutely. And knowing that we have the power to create the reality we desire, not by forcing or striving, but by cultivating that magnetic energy from within.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of attraction, I want to leave you with this question. What's one small step you can take today to shift from chasing to attracting in your own life?
Maybe starting that gratitude journal we talked about, or spending a few minutes visualizing your dream life, or even just taking a moment to appreciate how far you've already come.
The key is to start somewhere, to take that first step and trust that the universe will meet you halfway. Thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll see you next time.
See you then.